Thank you. And now, for this edition of the Sustainable Scoop, I am here with Jeffery Jacobs and Dennis Dineen, both members of the EV, or Electric Vehicle Association of Washington, D.C., but residents of Virginia.
Yes.
Thanks for being with me, gentlemen.
Glad to be here.
Now, we'll start with you, Dennis, since you live here in Arlington. What kind of car do you drive?
Chevy Volt.
You drive a Volt.
I do.
Well,
for the last 2 years.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about the Volt.
I guess one of the things I really like, I have so far driven 23,000 miles on the car.
Wow.
And I have burned 67 gallons of gasoline.
Wow, that's certainly something to be proud of.
Well, it's most of the time I'm running electricity rather than gasoline, and I like that for multiple reasons, not the least of which it's much cheaper. Electricity is probably about 1/4 to 1/5 the cost of gasoline for the same miles. I can charge it overnight, which I do every night, like a cell phone. In the morning I have 40 miles of electric power. If I go beyond the 40 miles, a gasoline engine kicks in and I can keep going forever, or as long as the gasoline.
So that's a hybrid vehicle that you have. The Chevy Volt is a hybrid, and Jeffrey, you have the Nissan Leaf.
Exactly. Thank
So
you.
tell me about the Leaf.
Well, Miriam, the Leaf is an electric car that gets anywhere between 70 to 100 miles, and the newer Leaf actually does get much closer to 100 miles. My Leaf is actually a 2012, and I've had that car since November of 2011. I've driven since that time about 33,000 miles.
That is amazing. And you commute every day from Herndon to Washington, D.C.
Exactly. 60 to 70 miles a day.
For
round
pennies?
trip for pennies. In fact, I estimate that I drive about 1,500 miles a month and only pay less than $25.
Wow, that is fantastic. So we'll put the environmental concerns aside for a moment and just think about in dollars and cents. We understand these vehicles tend to cost a little bit more. Are you feeling like you're making your money back on the investment?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I used to spend for the same commute about $2,500 a year in gasoline, whereas $25 a month times 12 months, that's barely a couple hundred. I mean,
so no energy crisis at your house.
Exactly.
Now, Dennis, one of the concerns that people have, in addition to the initial cost, is the maintenance and upkeep of an electric vehicle. What have you experienced?
Well, in 2 years, all I've done is rotate the tires.
Really?
Remember, an electric vehicle is inherently a much simpler machine mechanically than a gasoline engine. Gasoline engine has to have hundreds of parts moving up and down or back and forth, and belts and pumps, and all these things have to work all the time. An electric motor essentially has one moving part, and so mechanically they're much simpler and much less likely to wear out. And for another thing that's very nice about them, when you put on the brakes, unlike an ordinary car, all you do is produce heat. In other words, calipers close against rotors and you produce heat. Also, the brakes wear out. With an electric car, you essentially, unless you're in a panic stop, you don't use the brakes at all. You just use, when you put the brakes on, you slow down from the power of a generator. So anyway, the point is, in the life of the car, I'll probably never have to have any brake work done.
Wow. And in terms of reliability, you go 40 miles and then
Yeah.
you need to charge. So what do you...
No,
oh,
I
go
don't
ahead.
need to charge. I go 40 miles, and then if I'm going beyond that, the gasoline engine kicks in, and I
Okay.
continue to go. I've driven that car to Charleston, South Carolina. There's no limit to its distance. It's just I only can go 40 miles a day on electric power.
Okay.
And then beyond that, it's just like any other hybrid. It runs on gasoline. To make it clear, I don't have to charge it. I can run it on gasoline only, but that would be... Why would I buy expensive gasoline when I can get very cheap electricity, and I get it from my house?
And let me just go back to the gasoline part. My understanding, though, is that your car gets great mileage anyway with
Yes.
gas. What is the gas mileage?
It gets about 40 to 42 miles.
Which is way better than the average.
Per gallon. It is a very efficient car even when it's on gasoline.
Okay, and you started to touch on something about the time it takes to charge. So tell me about the charging capacity of...
Well, like Jeffrey, I charge it overnight. So it doesn't matter that I could charge it at a faster rate, but I only use a standard 110 volt outlet. It's roughly like it's drawing about the same power as a hairdryer. And I plug it in overnight like a cell phone. It only takes a few seconds to plug it in. And in the morning, I unplug it, and I have 40 miles of electric power. I start every single day with 40 miles of electric power.
What if you need a faster charge? What if you're out
I can-
coming from?
For instance, with my car, I need 60 to 70 miles, so I do need the faster charge. And so for my car, it charges from more or less empty to full in about 5 to 6 hours. But I set that to go overnight, and I have a time of use rate, which charges higher electricity rates during the day, but much cheaper electricity rates during the evening. So I have my car programmed to only charge in the dead of night when electricity is very cheap.
I see. And I think, admittedly, we all know that the infrastructure for charging on the go, we had talked about like along the eastern seaboard or driving across country, there are some ways to find access to plugging in. In fact, you mentioned a website, and we'll put it up on the screen soon, but that's called PlugShare. So for individuals who do have plug-in cars now, or if they're concerned about traveling, there are some resources out there.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, and now this organization that you're a part of is basically electric car enthusiasts. And so you've got an upcoming event, September 29th, in Washington, D.C.
Right.
on 3rd Street. So I want everybody to take the opportunity to go to pluginday.org. And if you have questions, please go to evadc.org. If you'd like to reach Dennis, you can go to virginiavolt@yahoo.com. And Jeffrey's website is aecn.timehorse.com. Gentlemen, thanks for dispelling some of the rumors. And I appreciate you watching the Sustainable Scoop. We'll see you next time back at the news desk.